Gosh, man, I feel kind of weird to be in this spot right now. Because today what we're doing is we're diving into an update from Frank Seravalli that I think a lot of fans might be scoffing their heads at, rolling their eyes at, kind of saying, oh brother, here we go again, because this is an update that I do think we can explore. We can talk about the hypotheticals, we can get into it, but it doesn't really move the needle, if you know what I mean. At the time of recording this audio, this is the status. Maybe there's already a signing, maybe something's already happened, but Frank Seravalli went out there and said this on Bleacher Report the other day. You've got your contenders that are sort of looking to see if Jack Roslovic is willing to bet on himself and take a short-term, short-money deal. I don't think the door is 100% completely closed in Carolina, Toronto, or Vancouver. And that's it. That's the update. I wanted to use this as an opportunity to get into not just Jack Roslovic as a player, but just the situation as a whole and how terrible this offseason really was for everybody involved. I'm coming to y'all from a perspective that's a little bit different because not only do I get entertainment value from the NHL as a fan, as a guy who watches the teams, who watches the games, who watches the trades, who watches the rumor mill, who gets excited for the possibilities of players getting moved and for things like that to happen. I'm just like all of you. The difference is, though, compared to the majority of the folks that watch this YouTube channel, I make videos about these things. It's technically my job. It's my livelihood to have stuff to talk about and to talk about it in a way that engages an audience. And unfortunately, due to extensive traveling and due to the fact that there hasn't really been much going on in the NHL, it's been a lot harder to do that this year compared to prior seasons. I'll stand by my assessment that this was the, dare I say, worst offseason I've ever had as a YouTuber, not in terms of the money per se. I've had other off-seasons where I've made fewer dollars, but in terms of just the engagement and how fun it is to talk about this stuff. There has been nothing, and that's so interesting to me because we were kind of promised everything and more. All the insiders went out there and said, oh, after free agency opens up, after Nick Ehlers signs, then we're going to see a whole bunch of moves and trades, and teams will use their newfound money to get guys. But ultimately, we saw the opposite. The fact that other NHL teams have money now allows them to keep the players that they had in the first place, and nobody really wants to sell. Nobody wants to sell. Tanking for McKenna is not going to kick in till, let's say, the midway part of the year when teams realize, oh, we actually kind of suck, and then maybe you'll start to see some trades. But the offseason was filled with none of that. Everybody stayed. The only big, fantastic blockbuster move, we already knew it was going to happen before it even happened, and Mitch Marner, and then all the other trades that happened weren't really all too big either. So I'm not saying this was a bad offseason for me, financially speaking. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens when my September paycheck comes in for the videos from August, because that admittedly might be quite low. But still, I've made fewer dollars before. It's fine. I'm just kind of thinking about it like, wow, we really got blue-balled, didn't we? You wonder why I'm making so many gosh darn videos about rumors and stuff? It's because there's nothing else to talk about. Also, I've been traveling a lot, so that plays into it too. It's why you can hear the Taiwan streets outside this apartment, because this apartment doesn't have any windows that shuts, and I unfortunately have to edit everything out using Adobe Audition's noise background removal tool. But with all that said, we have ourselves this update on Jack Roslovic and how the Hurricanes, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Vancouver Canucks could potentially be in the mix. Now, this does conflict with what we had seen out of Vancouver's beat reporting earlier in the summer, where at some point it was reported the Vancouver Canucks just straight up decided amongst themselves that, yeah, Jack Roslovic is not the center option that we need to fully fill a second-line center role. He's just not that good, and I can understand and agree with that. I don't think Jack Roslovic is the bona fide second-line center that Vancouver desperately needs in order to make or break their upcoming campaign. Could he be a reasonably good depth piece? Yeah, okay, I would actually get on board with that. He could maybe get 35 to 40 points on the wing. If he provides that kind of value, then that's pretty good. But I'd say for Vancouver in particular, there are already enough wingers that round out the top 3 lines. I mean, you think about Jake DeBrusk, Evander Kane, Niels Höglander, Connor Garland, Brock Besser, and Kiefer Sherwood. That's 6 very capable wingers right there. You only have essentially Max Sassen's winger spot on the 4th line with Teddy Bluger and Drew O'Connor that could be up for grabs there. And would you really want to spend the amount of money that you would need to spend to get a Jack Roslovic just to fill in a 4th line left wing spot? I'd say that's probably not worth the assets, to be honest. So, Jack Roslovic in Vancouver, I can understand the rationale. If he's willing to take a short-term, low-dollar amount deal to show what he's got and to prove himself, then okay, be my guest. I just don't think Vancouver really has enough for this guy. Meanwhile, you talk about the Carolina Hurricanes and their situation. I mean, they're always getting guys in and out of the lineup. They're always turning over with top-tier players. Right now, I think they have a pretty solid top 9 winger core with Ehlers, Taylor Hall, Stankoven, Svechnikov, Jackson Blake. And then at center, I mean, it's going to be difficult for a guy like Jack Roslovic to play center full-time in a Rod Brind'Amour system. And there also is a question as to whether or not you dethrone either a Jarvis or a Stahl or a Kotkaniemi. I just don't know if I fully believe if Jack Roslovic is a Rod Brind'Amour kind of player through and through. Even in the most recent season, I get it, he was okay point production-wise. He had 39 points in 81 games, but is he willing to go through this entire song and dance again on a cheaper, short-term deal? Like, that's the biggest kicker here. If he were to stay in Carolina and get a reasonable dollar amount, it's like, okay, fine. Sign the guy that you had last year to a contract that's worth it for him. But you went out and got all these extra guys. Now there's not really a spot for Roslovic like he had last year. And now you're going to say, okay, yeah, we actually want you back, but can you take a cheaper deal? Like, that's sort of, it doesn't really rub me the right way, I would say. Then you talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, I feel like the past few days we've seen the Maple Leafs be more so the primary destination for Roslovic, at least amongst the rumor mill. The Vancouver talks with Roslovic died down a few weeks ago, but I think the Leafs have slowly been getting back in there since they kind of need some more forward support too with the departure of Mitch Marner. Don't get me wrong, I think they have enough guys to have been able to make up for that in Waugh, Joshua, McShelly. But getting another one in Roslovic might not actually be that bad of an idea, especially if you give this guy sheltered minutes and allow his playmaking to shine more so alongside of these top Maple Leafs dudes. Nyes and Matthews is already going to be that pairing on the top line, and then I'd think a second line you've got Domi, Tavares, Nylander. That looks pretty strong too. I don't know where Roslovic fits in, but I do think that there is enough depth in Toronto that would allow Roslovic to play well no matter where it is. I don't necessarily see the same in Vancouver, for example. Like, I don't know if Roslovic would play well with Teddy Bluger and Drew O'Connor, for example, but if he was playing with, like, Bobby McMahon or Dakota Joshua or a Nick Waugh, I actually do think that's pretty fine. I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. At the end of the day, though, this video was half and half Jack Roslovic, Frank Seravalli talk, and the other half complaining about the NHL offseason and how things went down. So, yeah, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments, how you feel about how things went, and why things have gotten to a point where Jack Roslovic is seen as a pretty reasonable, discussable NHL commodity. On a short-term, lesser dollar amount deal, nonetheless. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.